A new study says playing cheerful music in your car can cure car sickness. That's one thing I do not miss about childhood. Of course, it didn't help that my father smoked a pipe. His brand was Sir Walter Raleigh pipe tobacco. You know, some tobaccos have kind of a sweet smell to them, whether they be pipe tobacco or cigars. Not Sir Walter Raleigh. It was like smelling burning tires. And Dad would fire up his pipe, and of course the windows would be rolled up if it was cold out, which was a lot of the time where I grew up. They're like, Dad, we're choking to death. I'm sick. It's like, people didn't know back then. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Dad puffing away in his pipe. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Prince George, BC, a man was arrested by police for driving his Jeep down a public street. That's because it was one of those battery-powered Barbie Jeeps.
I just wanted to get a Slurpee. I got lazy. I didn't want to walk. I'm going like 3 clicks. I did my hand signals and everything. Model number, Barbie Jeep. Color pink.
Seems a bit much to arrest the guy, but then again, he does sound like he's hammered or high or something. Alexander County in North Carolina, lots of questions for a daycare after a 4-year-old was bitten by a copperhead snake on the playground, and the daycare never bothered to call 911 or the kid's parents. Eventually, a family member drove him to the ER where he was treated for a snake bite. Seems like something that ought to have been attended to. Custer, Washington, police used a canine to track a suspect who ended up being found in an unplugged refrigerator. Well, they saved his life. Remember when I was a kid, we were warned about the dangers. I don't know, this was a problem back in the day, apparently. People would just leave their refrigerators out by the curb, and they wouldn't fasten the door shut, and kids would crawl in there and suffocate. That was a really 70s thing, I think. Don't hear about it much anymore, but this guy crawled into it. He could have suffocated, so they saved his life. Schwabach, Germany. Apartment residents in this Bavarian town have been complaining to police of late about Klingelstreik. Everything in German sounds so menacing. Klingelstreik, translated into English, means ding-dong ditch. Turns out the culprit was one or more slugs who would slime over the doorbell buttons and set the doorbells off. They didn't see that coming. Finally, Lester County, Kentucky. This might be the most Kentucky story I have ever heard. Nurse Misty Combs gave CPR to a drunk raccoon, saving its life. The raccoon, it seems, had eaten fermenting peaches thrown out by a distillery.
So our health department is right beside of Kentucky Miss Moonshine. They had put some fermented peaches in their dumpster, and I guess the 2 baby raccoons had got into the dumpster and they were stuck. Everybody that was around was like, it's dead. I mean, it's just not gonna make it. Immediately, I just started doing CPR on it. I was tickled to death that it was able to join its mom again. That poor little raccoon, I hope it stays out of the dumpster.
Good on you, Misty. You might want to get treated for rabies exposure now, though. Just saying. As for the raccoon, I guess rehab maybe next. All right, that does it for a Tuesday. Thank you so much for listening and for your support. Have a wonderful day.